right, thank you guys so much for being here. This is so excellent. I did not know that it would be a snowy Saturday morning when I when I gave Sloan, my baby, to my mom to then get ready. It was not snowing, and I came out and it was snowing, and I thought, oh gosh, I hope this means that people can still get here. But we are so deeply appreciative for you being here and for you caring so much about your neighbors and our community and the city that you want to go knock doors and talk with people over the next coming months to make sure that we get a full count in the census. It is so important, and the thing is, it's so funny, it all comes down to money. It's so simple. You hear the word census. I remember when I was first, might be high school, census, what is this? You kind of think, oh, it's some government thing, it just happens. It does not just happen. It doesn't run itself. The census does not run itself. The census has Pedro and Patrick running it. We have all of you here today from the community. We're going to have, the federal workers are paid in the spring and summer to go around and make sure this thing works. It really is up to the communities, though. It really is up to engagement. It's up to me as the mayor of the city. It's up to other leaders in other areas in northeastern Pennsylvania to make sure that we get the most full count possible, because the count equals money. So if we don't get the right count, if we only count, say, half of the people in this room, the federal government doesn't know that this half exists, and they're only going to give us enough money for this half. That's for our schools, that's for transportation, that's for hospital infrastructures, firefighting infrastructure. It's so deeply important that we get the count right. And unfortunately right now, in the political climate in Washington, D.C., there are a lot of people that only want to count this many people. They don't want the full count. So we're up against some factors that we haven't encountered to this level before. So it really is on us to talk to our neighbors, talk to different families that we know, think creatively over the coming months. Gosh, I know so-and-so that I run into at the grocery store. I bet I should say something to them or give them one of the handouts. I bet they don't realize the census is happening, or I think, maybe, there's somebody in their family maybe, came to the country recently. They might be scared to fill out the census. So much of this also, it's about reminding people and educating them how to. It's also educating people that it's not something where your information is going to lead to deportation or something catastrophic like that. The federal government cannot use this information to act on you in terms of immigration. So it's a safe thing to do. Your information is safe, but it takes a lot of conversations, and it's going to be all about relationships, right, Pedro? It's all about the relationships. It's not about me standing up here and talking in the newspaper. It's really about who are your neighbors, who are your friends, who are your family, making sure that they're doing it, educating them about that, but then following up with a phone call. Well, Megan and the team will train you guys on how to do this, and we're always going to be here as a resource. Pedro and Patrick are here as a resource. But it's about that follow-up phone calls. We'll be reminding everybody through Facebook and events like this. But this is not just about today's day of action. This is about what we do over the coming months, March, April, May, June, July. So I'm so deeply appreciative, again, that you guys are here. Thank you for being here. I'm going to kick it over to the team. We have Connor, Megan, Abby, Mary Pat, and Rachel. Now, Megan, Mary Pat, and Rachel work for the city here. Connor and Abby are with the University of Scranton. They are donating their time to us for this effort, so we really appreciate them doing that. But I'm going to kick it over to them. They're going to train you guys. If anybody's ever been worked on a campaign, it's a lot like a campaign, what we have to do. What are campaigns? Campaigns are about engaging your friends and neighbors, so this is all this is, and I'm so glad you guys are here, so thank you. Megan, are you leading off, or Mary Pat? Let me give you, this is the ECTV. Chris is back there making sure that this is recorded, and people watching at home are going to be able to go through our training as well.
Thank you. Hi, good morning. My name is Mary Pat Ward. I'm the Executive Director for the Office of Economic and Community Development. That's a mouthful, and I don't expect anybody to remember that. I won't quiz you later. Easily enough, OECD is in the lucky position to receive the HUD allocations that the city receives, and we get to put it out into our universe, into our community, to help people. So I have a really great and amazing job. My deputy director is here, Priam Bo. He's in the back. Yes. fantastic. He works on a variety of our programs, some very important things that you see out in our community, everything from helping our roads to parks and even economic development. So we can't do what we do every day without people like Tom and all of the people here at City Hall. The U.S. Census Bureau came to us last year through Pat and then Pedro, luckily, again, that said, we need your help. And there's a way to do that through something called the Municipal Complete Count Committee. Here we go, another long name, the MCCC. And what they tasked us with is getting out into the community and finding those that have been undercounted or underrepresented in the past. And so there are a variety of ways that we get to do that. I've been working with my team, especially Rachel, in regards to deploying our social service agencies and community agencies, our faith-based community, educational institutions, in spreading education and the word about the census. Everything from safety around the census to why it matters. And so we continue to do that work, and we'll do that through this census initiative. But most importantly is how do we engage our residents on an individual level? And that's why we are so proud to have a great team of folks with Megan and our interns from the university, and certainly with the mayor's support in engaging everyone in our community to be a part of the census, because it does matter, very much so, as the mayor had explained. And so we're going to kick off our training today. We have an agenda and a wonderful training to follow, and so I will give that over to Megan, if you will. Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, my name is Priam Bo. I'm the special assistant to Mayor Cognetti and working with Mary Pat on the Municipal Complete Count Committee. So thanks for coming out to our training today. We're really excited to talk to you all about the census, some logistics, and how you can be a census ambassador in your neighborhood and your community. So today we're going to be going over what the census is and how U.S. Census ambassadors can help get out the count here in Scranton. We're going to go over Census Bureau operations, how to complete the form and what's on the form, and also talked about some get out the count tactics that you can implement to make sure that all of your friends, family, and neighbors fill out the census this spring. So with that, I'm going to play a short video.
So what this video is just a quick synopsis of what the census is. Whether you do or don't know it, it does occur every 10 years. So the last time our census was taken was in 2010. Scranton was severely undercounted as well too, and underrepresented at that time. So as the mayor said to you, the censuses equal funding and money. A lot of people are under the idea that the census is just about funding for people that are low to moderate income. That's not true. So a lot of us, the census has to do with all of us. The funding, like the mayor said, for education, for our roads, for hospitals, all of those things. The census has about $675 billion to disperse for us each year, okay? So we want to get our hands on as much of that as possible, obviously. The census, since it's being taken this year, this is the first time that you can actually fill it out online as well too. I don't know how many, everyone has one of these or some sort of variation or what have you. So you can take the census this year on your cell phone, online. You could fill it out through a mailer physically. You can fill it out via telephone as well too. So this is another way that they're trying to promote the census. Some people, as we know, are uncomfortable with strangers coming to their doors, may not answer, or want any kind of interaction. This is great for those kinds of people. We're going to send out the instructions. This is how you complete the census. This is what's out there. Now we're entrusting you to do it online or make a phone call, which is fine. We know a lot of people in our other workshop, people coming to the doors, we were calling them knockers. Some people don't like knockers coming to their doors and just like to be left alone and do their civic duty on their own, and that's completely okay too. We know, like I said before, that the census includes all of us. How many of us have driven on 81 before? Can I get a hand? Yeah, very reluctant hands. Thank you, Mayor. We all have. Okay, so this has to do with public transportation, has to do with highway construction. It has to do with all of us. So you can think about just your morning commute or your commute home every day from work, or dropping off kids or going shopping. Little things like that have to do with this. There's thousands of programs that benefit from it. Like I said, it's not just one group of people. And the more people that fill out the census, the better, because that gets us more hands in the money pot, if you will. We will be getting into certain barriers that you may face speaking about the census, or essentially trying to educate people on the census. Some of the barriers are, I don't have time, I don't want to put effort into it. Some of the other barriers might be a language barrier. Another barrier might be, I'm afraid of the government or any kind of involvement of the government in my life. We will get into this exactly of how to prepare you to combat that, essentially. Like we were saying before, none of this information can be used against you, whether it's the FBI, the CIA, ICE, courts, nothing, okay? They cannot. You are protected under, I believe it's Title 48 and 13, okay, where you are protected, and this information is only to be used for statistical purposes. Nothing else can be used against you, okay? So hopefully that will take some of the anxiety off of people when they decide, do I really want to do the census, and how does it really affect me? So we'll be able to go in, hopefully, in the PowerPoint? Okay, while it's still trying to do that. But that video is just a 2-minute, basically a summarization of what the census is and what we're going to be coming up against. And like I said, for 2020, for us living in this age, 2010, since the last time that was taken, obviously a lot has changed in the past 10 years. I just want everyone to think about themselves 10 years ago. I had a terrible haircut. I don't know what anybody else had, okay, 10 years ago. The world is a very different place, okay? 10 years ago, we relied on hotels, now we have Airbnbs. We relied on taxis, now we have Ubers and Lyfts. Everything, we live in a different digital age, even from 10 years ago. So really promoting being able to go onto the census website and taking it on your own, through a smartphone, through a computer, at a place where people get direct services, City Hall, any way to guide them through that as well too. Yep. Oh.
Hi everyone, my name is Abigail. I am interning in City Hall and I'm a student at the University of Scranton. So I definitely give a lot of credit to the younger people coming out. I say that because the last time the census happened, I was 11 years old, so I really wasn't familiar with a lot that the census had to do with our city. But I just want to let you know that all the barriers, all the information is in your packet, so just because you don't have the PowerPoint up doesn't mean that you won't get all the information. But with the barriers, as Rachel said, there are a lot of people that are indifferent to the census. Not only because they don't know what's going on, but they like to maybe black out everything that the government is saying. But that's why you're here, because we want you to be the people that your neighbors could trust. And just because Mayor Cognetti might be an authority, she wants you guys to be the ones that are knocking on your neighbor's door and being able to talk with them just in a very casual sense about what the importance is of the census. So I thank you all for coming out today. Sorry, it's a little bit early for tonight. But your logistics, so this is in your packet as well. Who you are, we want you to be the trusted people in the community that can answer questions to your neighbors and your friends and businesses about what the census is and what it does for our city. So I know Mayor Cognetti and all of us have told you how much this is important because we are getting money for our city, but not only are we getting money, but we are using it as a resource to make our lives better. There's an analogy. Megan and I went to a conference about the census a couple weeks ago, and they used a great analogy that that really helped me understand a lot more of what's going on, is that if you're going to a party and you don't RSVP and you get to the party and there's not enough food for everybody, then you're obviously going to be upset. So that's basically what the census is for the entire city. So if we have a complete count of all of the people that are in our city, we get the money that we need, and then we could use it as a resource to give the whole community what we need. So that's basically all I have.
All right, thanks, Abby. So that was a good overview of just some why the census is important and some barriers, right? In section 2, we'll talk about Census Bureau operations so that you know what the Census Bureau folks like Pedro and Pat, we have here representatives from Lackawanna County and Northeast PA from the Census Bureau. So that way you know kind of the timeline of what they're doing when you're talking to your neighbors, your family, your friends, so you know what kind of messages to be talking about week to week. So if you look in the, I think it's probably the first thing in your packet, there's a section called Operations Timeline. So we're just going to walk through that quickly. So the count actually has already begun in rural parts of the country. Like rural Alaska, they take like snowmobiles out and they go around and check the addresses, make sure they're still the same as 10 years ago, and then they count the people while they're there. In Pennsylvania, we're going to be getting the Census Bureau mail, the invitation to fill out the census beginning mid-March, so around March 12th. You should be checking your mailboxes, looking for that information, and filling out the census online. The first invitation will be to fill out the census online. You'll get a code, you verify your address, and you fill out the form for you and everyone else in your household. There will be additional mailings to remind people throughout March and April, like reminder postcards, letters with the paper questionnaire eventually, and a final reminder at the very end of April to get it in before enumerators start knocking on doors. Yes?
When do you get the online code and around the time?
So,
First mailing?
yeah, so March 12th through the 20th, that week, the mailing will be an invitation to fill out the census online. And then March 30th through April 1st, the Census Bureau is actually working on specifically counting people experiencing homelessness, so they have a plan to do that within this timeline as well. Census Day is celebrated April 1st, so the question on the census is, who resides at this address on April 1st, 2020. So that's why it's Census Day. It's a big day to celebrate, being counted, putting stuff on social media, making sure that there's posters around your community, maybe making a pitch at your church that weekend, things like that. Really big push for Census Day to make sure everybody's responding online by April 1st. In April, the Census Bureau will also be going to group housing, like college campuses, things like that, to make sure that they're counting people that live in bigger buildings and group housing, that sort of thing. That might be a little bit more complicated. If you're a single family home, you have one mailbox, your parents get the mail and the parents fill it out for themselves and the children, right? If a group housing, it's a little different. So the Census Bureau has a specific plan to do that in April. Yes?
So my next question, families, children in college, as of April 1st, where do the parents take them on their census report, or will the kids at college actually say, I live here as of April 1st?
What happens in that case, as Megan said, is a campaign called Group Quarters, okay? That counts people that are in colleges, dorms, residential treatment centers, nursing homes, things like that. Specifically to your question, they're counted where they are. They're going to be counted where they go to school.
So when we're advising our neighbors, if I know some of them kids in college, we tell them don't count them as a neighbor.
That's right. And on the questionnaire, you'll see there's a mechanism in place where it asks if you do have college students at your location or at school. So that's on the questionnaire also, but that's an excellent question. They're counted where they are living most of the time and where they are on April 1st.
If April 1st is the key date.
That's the key date, yes.
And to finish out the timeline, April 1st is Census Day. In May through July, the Census Bureau will have employees going door to door following up with folks who did not respond prior, so either by mail or over the phone or online. If you don't do that by May, people will start following up and coming to your door and they'll fill out the form with you like on your porch to make sure that we're getting everybody. And can we hold questions until the end of the section? Thank you. So that's May through July, and then through December, the Census Bureau will, by law, give all of the numbers that they collected to the White House and to Congress. So the census is, in the Constitution. It's mandated by the Constitution. This is their constitutional duty to collect all the numbers and give them over to the White House and to Congress in December. And just to touch on now, we talked about how May through July, the Census Bureau will be canvassing, going door to door in households. We want to make sure that we're kind of on the lookout for some malarkey going on, make sure that you know how to identify a Census Bureau rep. Like Pedro and Pat, they have a lanyard that says United States Census, they have a picture, it has a watermark. It's pictured here too. They'll have a bag that says US Census, and they always have an expiration date. So if someone comes to your door and they start asking you questions like, what's your social security number? I'm here for the census. You don't have to answer them. You can politely decline and make sure that you and everyone you talk to about the census knows how to identify one of these workers.
At any point anyone feels uncomfortable during the process at all, there is an 800 number that you could call to confirm the identity of the census workers. They're able to determine on the ground who's out there as paid census takers and would be able to verify and confirm that the person that you're speaking with and working with is a verified census taker.
And then last slide here, I think, of just to touch on the confidentiality in the census. So the census is only 9 questions. None of them are your social security number or citizenship status or anything like that. And everything that you do answer, like your address, how many people you live there, your race, that is all protected under Title 13. So under Title 13, it mandates that the United States Census Bureau cannot give the information to other entities of government. They can, get some data from the Social Security Administration, for instance, but it's only a one-way street. The other entity can give it to the Census Bureau. The Census Bureau cannot give your data to anybody else. It's used for statistics and numbers, to apportion congressional districts, apportion funding, and that sort of thing. So your personal data is totally confidential and will be kind of, under lock and key from the Census Bureau. And one last thing to put on that is the Census Bureau staff that actually help you fill out the forms, they take a lifetime oath of confidentiality. So if someone is helping, they come around with an iPad or whatever they use and they're on your porch helping you fill it out, that person has taken a lifetime oath of secrecy. So you don't have to worry about them. I don't think they want to go to jail just to tell someone how many people you live with. And just to wrap up this section, just to review, when does the census start? Anybody?
Well, it starts on March.
March 12th. Awesome. And then just any questions on Census Bureau operations before handing it back over to Abby?
The form slide, is that on there? To show what the questions are?
Yeah, that's next. Yeah. Yes, Norma.
I had a question from someone, and they wanted to know if it dealt, did they have to be Republican or Democrat? And it's like I explained to them, it's not anything that's politically associated with any party. So when you were listening to those bullets up there, there was nothing that said about it. This is not associated with any political party at all. And I did have someone ask me that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just to make sure, we're going to go over what's on the form next and the different questions there are. Again, there's only 9 questions. None of them are, how are you registered, if you're registered to vote, your social security number, your citizenship status, like none of that is part of the census. So that's good that folks are asking about that ahead of time and learning on what to look out for.
There's no political association whatsoever. So if you're getting phishing for emails or phone calls, your social security, your debit card, your political associations asking for money, none of that, that's automatically a scam.
Yeah.
When the mailers come to the home, will they be addressed to the person, individual person, or will it come as a?
It'll say like resident. I believe it'll say resident at, the address.
What's the answer? What's the source data?
It'll say
Yes?
From the city? Does it come from us locally, like addresses that we know or occupied lands? How do they?
So they had a program that started a few months ago to verify addresses. So they had similar, like they had canvassers going out, and then they did some modeling along with that with other data, like I mentioned, from other places in government, whether it's local, state, or federal. I think probably mostly federal. Yeah, the Census Bureau workers, they had a program that was probably one of the first things they did getting ready for the census. Address canvassing is what it's called. Thank you, Pat. So they went address canvassing and they verified a lot of addresses, so that way they know where to send the mail and where to send their canvassers to start counting folks. Yep. Awesome. Yes?
We're trying to get the most residents we could for Scranton, so what do you do, like say somebody was on your address, but they're living, say, up in somewhere like Southside or something, they still count as a resident because they're living here? Is it where you're actually physically living?
So it's where you live on that day, on April 1st. So if, say, like, I know this is where like college students don't formally change their address. So you should kind of talk to people, say, have that conversation with your family members. If you never really formally change your address and your driver's license and everything like that, you should still be counted where you reside as of April 1st, 2020. So like we said, at the college dorms, like you reside there, they're totally able to fill out the census themselves or through, whoever is the manager of the group, the dorm room or the dorm building, and fill it out and be counted there. But I think it's on the census ambassadors as volunteers to have those conversations with members of our community so that they can go back and have those conversations with their family and kind of make sure that they're all counted where they are on census day. Awesome. So now I'm going to kick it back over to Abby to go over how to complete the census and what's on the form.
Okay, so you each got a folder and it has one of these forms. So just to go over, like Megan said, there's only 9 questions. So if anybody feels like, oh, this is too long of a process, I don't really want to take the time to fill this out, it's really not that hard and it's pretty simple. So for the first question,
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Everybody's still confused about this, where you live on April 1st thing. Physically where you live on April 1st. If you're in a home with 10 kids and all 10 of them are at college.
Yeah, so
2 people in the house and 10 people someplace else.
right, and so for college, if there are, and they could check, so if you're filling out the 10 people that are away for college, but also that university,
That's double count.
it's, yeah, but they like go in and they'll look at that and they'll,
And the same instance where you have people that spend months in Florida.
That's on, you'll see it on the questionnaire, that's on it.
yes.
We're following over here and I didn't.
Thank you. So, right, exactly. So how many people are living or staying in the house on April 1st? So you put that number, and they do, like, we'll go back and check, because as you can tell, you put the first and last name, continuing it on to the next page. And in addition, you can fill out this form online over the phone. So if there's a problem with accessibility, people can always call over or do it online. In addition to the online form, if you have, say, 30 people living in the same home, like you can all do that on the same form online. The online form goes up to 99 people, so not that you'll need that, probably not, but just to say, there's really no limit. So on the next page, it does say like person one's name. And then number 6, where it says the gender male or female, you will have to choose one. And if you don't, then the Census Bureau will choose for you. So make sure to kind of complete everything that's on the page. Date of birth. Number 8, is the person Hispanic, Latino, or of Spanish origin? You can only put one answer for that, or the census will choose for you. Just take note. And then race. So for those, you could put, you could fill out as you go. But just for the question 8, you have to make sure you only put one, and then also including gender. And then, how is this person related to person 1? So going back to the first person that filled it out, this is the first year that the census has the same-sex marriage option. So if you feel like that's a little bit confusing, you are able to put like same-sex like couple in the same census. And then what is this person's sex? So this continues on. Do as many people as you'd like. And then going back to the college question, so there are a lot of people that will live off campus. So I know the Hills section was one of the most undercounted communities in the last census. So just to encourage people that are living there, especially college students, even if you're just renting, wherever you're living on April 1st is where you're filling out that address. So if you're just living there for 1 year, you're still filling out that address. So just to kind of reiterate that it's wherever you're physically going to be. And as we said, that the census will like go in and they will kind of figure out where each person will be at that particular date. They could contact you, ask you any questions about that. But like I said, and like Megan said before, there is a lifetime oath. So if you feel that, oh, it's like I'm not supposed to be living here, or there's just a certain confusion on where you are, they do have a lifetime oath. So if you don't feel comfortable putting your location because someone else might find out, you really don't have to worry about that at all. So, yes, go ahead.
What about if you go to somebody in Glasgow, then you're gonna have them out to fill it out on the 12th, or the 13th, 14th, and they say I'm moving in 15 days. I'm not gonna be living here.
So it's, yeah, so you said March 12th, so in 15 days, so.
We didn't hear the question, so we don't know what he said.
So he said if someone comes on March 12th and they're moving in 15 days, so that won't be April 1st. It's wherever they are living on that April 1st date.
So you're saying like one person can fill out for the whole house?
Yeah, yes. So on the form, it will have like person 1 and then person 2, and then you'll say, how is this person related to person 1? So there are questions about like the relationship between the person 1. Yeah, yes, exactly. Does that answer your question? Sure. Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead.
To clarify, I heard you say students who live in student houses in the Hill Center, let me make sure I get this right, that they're counted where they're residing on April 1st.
Yes, exactly.
Students who live in the dormitories at the University of Scranton are also counted?
So yes.
At the dormitory? Yes.
Yes.
So in essence, even if, no matter where their parents live in New Jersey, on April 1st, we will have the benefit of counting as many students as we can out of the university.
Yes, yes.
Towards the Scranton count.
The way I think about it, Patrick and Pedro, correct me if I'm wrong, the way I think about it is this is for funding to be able to have infrastructure in our communities. If at some times of the year, say during the school year for colleges, if we're a university town, which we are, we need to have the right roads, bridges, infrastructure, firefighting forces, police forces. We need all of that for the height of our population count. So we count the university students because we need infrastructure for that. Does that
That's
fit?
correct, yes. And this is important because I'm like a math person. So you're talking tens of thousands of students in northeastern PA. That's funding for us. Okay, so
So we're lucky it's April 1st is Census Day and not July 1st. so it's very important, yes, that all that student housing that we count, that we're counting our students. So that's a huge piece. A huge piece also of why we have students here already that we're getting data figured out what's the best strategy for going into the colleges.
Are you going to get them before May?
The group quarters is ongoing right now as we speak.
Oh, okay.
And remember, it doesn't make a difference regardless of when you answer it. It's where you're going to be on April the 1st. So even if they answer it in May, the idea is where were you on April the 1st? And that's why, although we're trying to be proactive in group quarters and things of that nature, so that we don't have to think about being retroactive, if you will, to that question, it is where you're going to be residing. Glynis, I know that you had...
So I was just going to add to that point, for group housing, particularly with universities, the institutions are kind of responsible for dormitories. So they will be able, they're going to get information from the census and be like, okay, the dorms over here on Mulberry Street, how many people are living? They have all that data to get to that. So those students aren't necessarily going to be the one in charge of that because they are students and the school will take care of the dormitory living. Now, if you're living on off-campus housing and you live in an apartment, that's a whole different situation. That's not through the university system. Then that student will have to fill out the census themselves via the census data. But if they're part of the school and that's part of their tuition or whatever, it's the school that will handle that because those are their buildings. So when we talked about how the census knows about where people are at, there's a system that they do called LUCA. It's local update of census addresses. And so our county, as a municipality, got those forms and submitted them back to the census in around 2018. So the only thing with that, with our LUCA forms, they're kind of out of date because we also have to reassess our area. So that's another reason why it's important for us to get a proper count. So that way, when the LUCA forms come around, we will see in 2020 all the ways that the information that we had submitted for this count can be updated. That makes sense. Yeah. So our county resubmitted the LUCA forms at the top of the year in 2018. So they didn't really do much. They didn't do any surveys. They just looked at it, they approved it, and sent it back to the Census Bureau. So the Census Bureau takes that information and sends out their enumerators and their people to go see the spaces that our county approved of. That makes sense.
Thank you, Glynis.
Thank you.
There are some people in the country they don't have internet access and they don't even respond to mail. So how we can improve those people? How we can improve it?
So that's why part of today, we want to train you in regards to education and the individual work of the Census Ambassadors, which is really in our residence area, providing education when you're out and about in the world in the next couple of weeks. But that's also, when I had spoken to earlier, the other work that the city is doing with social service agencies, faith-based communities, other interactions where we're dealing with what we would consider our marginalized populations and speaking with those social service agencies and others that work with those populations so people feel safe being counted.
That's why we're here to educate now, to say on March 12th, this piece of paper is coming to your home, don't throw it away, right? So I know some people just take the mail and just put it into the garbage. This is why we're doing this now, to say March 12th, don't throw away this mail, look for this mail. And then if you have questions, we'll answer questions, we're trying to do that. And then for the online, very aware that there are many people that don't have computers at home. So the Federal Census Bureau will have some resources, and we're getting some resources together from our community. The library is extremely involved in this and very helpful. We're going to have you go to the library to have them help you, or just to use the computer. We're working on some mobile, like a mobile platform that could go around the city, so people could go into like even show mobile. We're still working.
No, but that's, yes, the library utilizing even
the bookmobile,
the bookmobile, using community space where census takers could go if it's in housing complex or a senior center, places where individuals could come and feel safe, completing the census with the employed census takers.
That's why we're all here, so that you can go to your friends and neighbors and say and then tell us and let us know, and then we can say, oh, we need to make sure that the library gets the bookmobile to this neighborhood.
And we're going to have a couple of, we're going to have actually the U.S. Census Bureau speak more to those access points and that ability in just a couple of moments. Yes, sir, you had a question.
Yes, I live on the south side of Scranton. There's 3 large low-income housing units in that area, right in pretty much in the same proximity. I live in that area.
Sure.
But I didn't know how you all were going to deal with that situation.
So we're going to be speaking to that in a couple of moments, but very similar to what we were saying is we're going to be able to deploy census takers to that area, at the same time working with social service agencies and public agencies, so those folks in the housing complexes and those that are part of our everyday life feel safe taking. When I say safe, it's understanding why we're doing that there isn't a negative effect to it, that it's the opposite, that the more that we have people completing the census, like the mayor said, the more dollars that we can get. And we talked about everything from infrastructure to public health, but that also helps invigorate our social service programs in our area. And it's really important why we need to be counted.
So Mike, that's part of what we're the committee that we have here with the city, working with the UNC and some of our other social services. We're working to get all this material into those low-income housing areas now, so that people become familiar, start seeing these things, and start understanding what this is a little better. So we're working all together. We've got some of the I forget which who is it that's helping us with Abigail, for example, sister.
Oh, there's Sister Mary Alex.
Sister
So
Mary
yeah,
Alex,
so
yeah,
Friends of the
helping us
Poor.
with Abigail. So we're
Yeah.
trying to get all that information into those areas now. But again, we need all of your guys' help to do this. So we have as many people talking about it.
Yeah, you as the ambassadors from our neighborhoods across Scranton are the ones that if a conversation comes up or you have the opportunity to share, that you could say, I was part of a training and I'm an ambassador and this is something that should be done. It's a lot better coming from our folks, in the neighborhoods.
That's a very diverse area, the area you're talking about. And it's like a melting pot. And you're going to need somebody with a lot of communication that can communicate on various levels.
Absolutely.
That's why you all are here.
That's right. Yeah, we're counting on you. Absolutely.
And
Like the University of Scranton area would marijuana and like the Gozerns over there.
Right.
They know how many people, they know how many students they have, so can't you match that up? Because everybody can keep it flat.
Right. Right. So the universities, like the colleges as a whole, will fill out the census in regards to the people that are staying at the university. So it's different. Like Glenna said, like it's different if you're living off campus, then the university isn't responsible for the people that are living outside of university campus. But the people that are living in the dorms, they are collected as a group.
But they know how many students they have, and every one of the students would probably be, you're saying they might be traveling from other places to get here, so you have to actually sit there with them.
Well, yeah, some of the day students
Yeah, because they
might
might
not
be
live
coming
in
from like,
Scranton.
I see what you're saying.
Right. So
And I see what the guy over there is trying to get at, housing projects. I'll put that in.
So with that question, so Mike's concerned about a particular block in the south side. That's what we're handing out to all of you today. Is information that you can put. You can decide. You can say, you know what, this business is so busy. I'm going to go in and ask if I can put one of these up, so everybody starts to see this. So I'm going to go and see if I can go into the community room at one of the housing projects and say, can I post this? So we're giving you guys today the material that we need to start getting out to everything.
Yeah. So we're going to just move forward because we want to get everyone out there, and then there are a few of us folks that are going to stay back too, so that I can answer individual questions and be helpful to you as well. Okay? So we're going to move forward in regards to how to fill out the census. Okay. All right. So, how to fill out the census. Right now, there are 3 different ways that you can fill out the census: online, by phone, and by mail. We are hoping with the cards that are going out into the universe in the next couple of weeks that we're going to have a strong online presence utilizing, like I said, the U.S. Census Bureau will speak to in a few moments, mobile areas that will help so that you can utilize things online, by phone, and then, like we said, by mail. Okay, section 4, get out the count. Here is Get Out the Count, our GOTC. So I'm going to hand it over to Megan so we can start talking about the importance of our ambassadors.
So you guys are all here today to learn about the census so that you can take this information back into your communities and answer questions, right? Like March 12th, people are going to get things in the mail and they're going to say, what the heck is this? I need to go ask Pedro, right? Like your neighbors are going to say, what do I do with this? Maybe they talk to their neighbors, people in school. That's why college students, it's really important because you might be chattering before class and say, hey, what's this? What do I do with it? So one goal of our overall goal of our Get Out the Count strategy is to educate all of our friends, family, and neighbors. One way we can do that is by getting people to fill out commit to count cards. So they just check off like, yes, I will fill out the census online, and they sign their name, and they can commit to, telling 3 other friends about the census and things like that. And if you have a small business or a bulletin board, maybe in like group housing, like community rooms, things like that, you can like display them and show how many people have committed to count in your neighborhood or in that business. We can display them here at City Hall as well. So that's one tactic we can do. Another tactic to collect these is canvassing door to door. So we're going to do a little bit of that today. You can see this map over here has census tracts for the city. The darker blue areas are the ones the Census Bureau has identified as higher low response scores. So they think up to, between 25 and 30% of people won't respond during that first invitation or that first round of invitations. So we want to, just get some information, get some flyers out there in those neighborhoods early on to try to, lessen that number. You can also speak at community meetings, at churches, different events. If you have maybe professors will let you do like a class wrap in the beginning of a class before the lecture starts. So kind of making a pitch for the census at a group meeting. You could also table at high traffic areas, in like cafeterias, at maybe the marketplace at Steamtown, outside on like First Friday, things like that, like wherever people congregate. Putting up a table, having some flyers out is a good idea to get the word out about the census.
And if any of you know of events taking place in the next couple of weeks, we have our contact information. We'll make sure to provide it to you to share it with us. And so as ambassadors, we would love to partner with you. If it's at a church function or a community event, I know our U.S. Census Bureau folks also love to partner in those situations to be able to take place in those community events and spread education and answer questions.
Again, visibility at local businesses and like hanging signs, having little postcards maybe on the counter, and at little corner stores or wherever people frequent. And then the last thing would be posting on social media. Part of, if you have a following on social media, posting during those key dates, like, hey, March 12th, take a picture of what you got in the mail and say, hey, be on the lookout for this, or take a picture of you filling out the census as a reminder. Putting information out about how to identify a Census Bureau worker as we get closer to when they're going to be knocking on doors. So usually using like all of your social media platforms to get the word out that way as well. Yes.
I suggest following the U.S. Census Bureau on all social media. They post a lot of stuff. You can repost things there, add comments, and let your friends see that you're following the Census Bureau too. And they will also keep everyone up to date on events. They also share local events that are happening in other cities and municipalities. So like maybe what we're doing here can make to the Census Bureau social media, just as a little sidebar.
Thank you.
Are the universities
So-
doing that? Like letting the students know ahead of time?
So yeah, we had, actually Abby had a table at the DeNaples Center for a couple of days in the last couple of weeks, and I know a lot of the professors are talking about it in class, and they've partnered with the Census Bureau, they're, the people in charge of housing to work it out with them logistically on how to count the students.
And we know we have taking part as ambassadors, so raise your hand if you're part of Lackawanna College. So see? Yay! So that's part of it, is getting out and just speaking to it. So now we have how many students that are listening to what we're speaking about today will be able to answer questions just like you're asking today.
Yeah. So as an ambassador, it's your responsibility to clarify to whoever you're talking to that you do not work for the United States Census. We as volunteers aren't taking that lifetime oath, so we should be just very clear, like, hey, I'm giving you promotional materials, I'm helping you know the timeline and what to expect, but we're not actually helping people fill out the census. We shouldn't ask them, their personal information. And just as a reminder, like whenever you're talking about this, be very clear so that we aren't getting folks confused and thinking that they already, they talked to one of us, so they're good, they're counted. That's the last thing we want.
We're marketing this, right? So as Census ambassadors, we're the marketers, we're the ones that are out there promoting it. We're not actually helping people fill it out.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Also at your workplace, like I work for PennDOT in transportation, so the Secretary of Transportation, she's promoting it too. But workplace is also important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Again, you can't help individuals fill out the census form. You are able in your workplace or like the library or here at City Hall, we can set up a tablet or a computer and have that available for people to use. But beyond, pulling up the website and having maybe some instructions there, you shouldn't really go through question by question and help people fill it out. That's the work of, the Census Bureau. And like, we should stick to questions like, do you plan on completing the census? Do you know how to complete the census? Tell them the different ways they can fill it out, and ask them like if they have any questions that you can answer. I think it's really easy for us to pull up the Census Bureau website or pa.gov/census and look for questions and answer them for the people we're talking to. But it's more just like educational based and marketing based. And again, always remind individuals that, you aren't a Census Bureau employee, and you aren't like their information isn't confidential with you. So the conversation should stick to just like information. And then if they still want to talk about their concerns, you can instruct them to the Census Bureau. And I'm going to bring up Abby and Mayor Cognetti to model a conversation about the census. Can we hold questions until the end of the section while we do this?
So before Abby and I do talk about the conversations, it's very important to remember some safety issues. So in your packet you have, it's called Canvassing Best Practices. It's very, very important that if you are ever uncomfortable going into a business or a community center, or if you're knocking on somebody's door in your neighborhood, if you are ever, never be uncomfortable, never do anything that you don't feel comfortable doing. Just always be aware of your surroundings, never argue with anybody, never go inside anyone's home. I mean, it's a little different if you know somebody, that's a different thing. But if you're knocking in your neighborhood and you don't know somebody and they kindly invite you inside, you just say, I'm so sorry, it's just our policy as census ambassadors, we just don't enter private homes. It's just easier that way, it's better, and we aren't asking you to go into anybody's homes. Have your phone with you, go in pairs if you can, go take a buddy and go together. And then there's no reason to go at night. While we're short on time, it's also, not something that we have to do tomorrow. No need to go at night and feel unsafe with the night. So canvassing, going around, it's always about safety first. If you ever, you have that feeling or you think, it's getting a little bit late, pack it up for the night and go home. So that's just always be reminded about that. So Abby is a census ambassador. She's going to knock on my door. I don't know if this is open. Oh, our door?
She's really going over there. This is weird.
Yeah, just pop your head around.
Yeah.
But I'm just hanging out at my house, making some
Thank you, Brian.
The door got really doing it. Crying, I can't hear it. Take the baby with me.
Knock
Open the
again.
door.
Hello, how
Hello.
are you? My name's
Hello.
Abigail, and I'm a Census Ambassador from the city of
Hi, Abby.
Scranton. How are
Abigail.
you? Whatever, you could call me whatever. Have you heard about the 2020 census?
I know that I know that there's a thing like the census, but is it this year?
Yes, so I'm sure you've heard that the census is it's every 10 years, so for 2020 we have 2020 census, and we really just want to get the word out, tell people, encourage people to sign up because it is really important for our city.
Mm-hmm. So how do I just do that with you now? Can I just fill it out now?
Actually, you'll be getting it in the mail. You could fill it out in the paper form, or you could fill it out online or over the phone.
Okay, so do I just go to my computer right now and fill it out? Or
So it'll
is there a
actually start
website?
on March 12th. So once you get it in the mail, you're able to go online. You'll get a code. Put the code in, and you'll be able to fill out all your information.
So if my computer is down though, if I don't have my laptop with me, or if I didn't pay my Comcast bill, maybe I don't have. Maybe Comcast shut me off. Can I fill out the thing in the mail when I get it?
Yes. So once you get it in the mail, you can fill out your form and then mail back.
Does it require a stamp? Do you know? Is it probably not, right? What do you think? You probably don't have to put a stamp on it, right? Okay, that's good. Okay. Well, do I need to count my baby that I just had?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, she counts.
Phone
It
counts
doesn't have
too.
to be. It's not only 18 years old.
No,
It's not
no.
adults only.
No, it's not
kids.
adults only. Kids count
All
just
kids.
as much as adults. Yeah.
Even if she's very small.
Very small, no
Okay.
matter what.
Okay.
Yes.
So everyone in my household that's living here on April 1st, whether they are 8 weeks old or
A
80
day
years
old,
old,
yeah.
I
They
will fill
still
out the
count.
census, and I
Yep.
can do it by mail once I get my computer going. Or
Yeah, if you
or,
pay your bill, you could do it.
or if I go down to the library, I could go
Yes,
maybe
so
fill it
there's
out
actually places where you could fill it out in
Okay.
public. Yes.
Great. Thank you for the information. I
Of
really
course.
appreciate it.
Of course. Have a good
Bye.
day.
So yeah, you kind of have to assume that people don't know what this is. Like we know it's like we talk about elections sometimes, like, oh, there's an election, people say what? So, people are really busy in their daily lives. They have so much that they have to do. So you really, really approach people and businesses with the thought that this is a marketing campaign. People probably don't know this is happening.
I think we need to specify that animals are included in the count because a lot of people today counted dogs and cats.
Okay, no animals.
No animals.
Animals do not count.
Right.
Yes.
Good point. That is a great point. We should note that.
I like that.
Yeah, so we've been talking about the babies thing that, because you think in your head, oh, maybe this is just for adults. All kids, all babies, no matter how
Right.
old.
If you're coming home from the hospital, if you're coming home from the hospital on April 1st, then
Yeah,
counts
all right,
too.
but pets, no pets. Do not count. Great point.
Okay, a final question. So a neighbor tells you that their mother, who lives at the residence, is not a citizen. She's scared to fill out the census. How should you respond? Final answer? See?
Oh, see.
Oh, I thought the next slide was going to be the answer, but yeah, it's right. All right. All right. So,
Through that one, though. Let's go through that answer.
yes. All right. Yeah. So I'm not a Census Bureau employee. The information disclosed to me is not confidential. Citizenship status is not a question on the census form, and all information disclosed to the Census Bureau is confidential and cannot be shared with other federal agencies. Awesome. Thank you so much.